Hello, everybody. This is Bojie here, your local Bay Area real estate agent, and welcome back to my channel. Today, I want to talk about. I just came up with this topic of online home valuations. The reason I want to talk about this is, again, it's a last minute decision, is that we know that the market is changing rapidly. More homes are sitting on the market and not selling. And at the same time, the home values hasn't really dropped in most of the markets. And a lot of people are relying on checking their home values on Zillow, Redfin to determine what their home is worth and make their next move. And we all know that online valuation has their own algorithms and but the question is how accurate are these algorithms and estimations. And that's exactly what I want to have a quick conversation with you guys and let you know, based on my experience, how their algorithms work, how accurate they are, and what do you need to do if you're just curious about your home value or if you're actually considering selling. These are completely two different approaches. So, first of all, we all know that when it comes to residential real estate, um, Zillow, Redfin, when they're trying to estimate your home value, their approach is what we call the comparable approaches, which is the same approach that we real estate agents and also licensed appraisers all use. The bottom line is you pick a few properties that were sold in your area, trying to get it as close as they could be, apple comparison, same school, same size, or same type of properties, and trying to see how much were those homes sold in within the last 3 months. And based on that, you can estimate how much your home could be worth based on, price per square footage or whatnot. And that's exactly what Zillow and Redfin would use. How accurate are they at doing this type of jobs? And in my opinion, especially in the last couple of years, I think their algorithm has gotten a lot better. I don't know if they use AI in that or not, but regardless, they're not making the mistake of, using Oklahoma's home price for California homes estimate. So, if you know that your home is in the price range of like 1 million to 1,500,000, 1 million to 1,300,000, like the ballpark range, I say that Zillow estimate is usually pretty good at keeping your home value within that range. And however, though, Zillow, Redfin are nationwide brokerage, so their specialty is collecting nationwide data, but they do not necessarily go deep into each city, each neighborhood, each zip code, or each street to know exactly what's going on. So now it's your job to make that adjustment based on what you know about your neighborhood when you look at these comparables. Like, is your property off a busy street, close to the highway, or right next to the train rail, or do you have any street parkings or no street parkings? And if it's condo, do you know which floor are you compared to the other property that were sold in different floor? All this it's gonna be depending on the current market. Like, is it a hot market or is it a cold market? Do these things actually matter, or how much does it matter in this type of market? These are all very much locally specialized knowledge. So that's one thing that Zillow just simply cannot gather, or at least they don't have that level of power in their algorithms to be able to factor those into your home values. And another thing is they do not send people to walk into your property to look at what type of upgrades have you done comparing to the other property that were just sold 3 months ago. So if you know you've done some upgrades, some serious upgrades, or you know that you've not done anything in the last 30 years and your appliances are really old, and these are the things that you would have to consider when you compare this property versus that property. And you have to factor in these value differences. And a local real estate agent who knows the market will be able to help you easier with these type of calculations. But that's just one reason why Zillow and Redfin are not going to be 100% accurate. And there's another reason, which in my opinion is a bigger reason and more sneaky one. So every time when the market is transitioning, kind of like what we're going through right now, we're going through a transitioning from a seller's market to a more neutral market, and we might just enter into a buyer market territory. We don't know yet. The market is transitioning. So what Zillow and Redfin and most of the appraisers will focus on is how much were homes sold. So they're still focusing on the past data. However, as you know, when homes are sitting on the market much longer, you don't have any new sales because obviously we're still looking for new buyers. Then in this case, your home value are still going to be based on how much were the last sales. And if the last sales were 6 months ago, then they're going to use that data as your past sales reference and estimate your home value. This, as you know, could not be accurate because this is a trailing indicator. The past sales are indicating the past buyer behaviors. And as you know, if homes are sitting on the market 3 months, 4 months on the market, that means buyers' behavior changes as the market changes. And if the property takes another month and a half to sell, like the pending period, then again, the buyer's behavior when that buyer was making the offer, you got to consider that into your evaluation, and that could be further back. So in that case, what you're looking at is the closing data, but you really don't see is, the real economic buyer's behavior months and months prior to that closing. And therefore, it's a trailing indicator. And a perfect example would be I remember in 2008, the Great Recession. Honestly, now looking back, we know that the worst of the worst economy was probably summer 2008. I got laid off in November, September, and or September. And the Lehman Brother, one of the biggest investment bankers, went bankrupt right around that time. Everybody got laid off, tons of foreclosures. So around that time, it was when foreclosure was at its peak. My bank, Washington Mutual, went belly up too. They were purchased by Chase right around that time or a little earlier. But if you look at the home price, just based on past sales, sold price, then you'll see that 2009 summer, like July, August, was the bottom. So if you're just focusing on that as an investor studying the history, you will say that, well, the housing market when it hit the bottom right around September, summer, September, July in the Bay Area. So that would have been the perfect time to go in and buy at the bottom. But the reality is you would have been dead wrong because if you're looking at buyer behavior, when the buyer were actually making offers, how many multiple offers were they competing against? That went the lowest in summer 2008 because that was a time when you had the most homes for sale, foreclosures, and the least amount of buyers. By the time you wait until a year later, you look at these closings. These closings are all reflected by the buyer's behavior back a year ago because foreclosure homes back in those days took about 12 to 13 months to close. So if you just look at, what were just sold recently, closed recently, you would have been dead wrong. You would have totally missed the market already by almost a year. So by the time of 2009 summer, market in the Bay Area had already bounced. Now you're looking at multiple offers and homes are selling over the asking price. You would have been so confused, like what just happened, right? So that's what I'm saying. So if you're just curious about your home value and you're not planning to sell, then yeah, go with Zillow reference estimate. But if you are planning to put your home on the market, you're selling it literally like maybe within weeks, then do not, especially in this time of like during this transitional time of the market, do not just rely on what were just sold. Um, what you want to also look at is how many homes are currently for sale right now in my neighborhood. If not enough, expand your search to your zip code, your whole city. And then you also want to look at how many homes are pending right now in the same range, in the same territory. And you want to look at the ratio of these two, and then you want to compare this with what was the ratio like a month before, 2 months before the tariff war or after the tariff war. Do you see a difference? Do you see the days on market changes? Or the days on market much shorter than it is now? All these are leading indicators that's going to tell you where the market is heading towards. And honestly, if you look at your Zillow's home value right now, it is reflecting only the past. So I suggest that you don't get caught up with that number. Like that's not necessarily the number that you should hit because what we're entering right now is a completely different market if you start to see these leading indicators becoming different. So that's what I would say, catching a lot of sellers off guard, a lot of agents too off guard. So if you are looking to sell your home and you want to accurately price your home so that your property isn't staying on the market for longer than necessary, you absolutely need to look at the trailing indicator as well as the leading indicators like number of homes for sale and how much they're asking for and how many homes are pending based on market changes. All these are going to help you analyze what's your current market temperature. And regarding to all this, if you have any questions about your home value, if you want me to take a look at it, you want me to do some analysis, feel free to reach out to me. And I also have a platform. I'm going to put a link in the description where you can enter your home address. And if you know you have done repairs and upgrades that Zillow and Redfin will never know, it allows you to enter those amounts and the specifics into the formula where my system will automatically come back with a more accurate number that factor all this stuff in, provided that you're entering your number based on truth. So yeah, if you have any questions, you want to know more about whether now's the right time to buy or sell or any other questions about Bay Area real estate. Again, my name is Bojie, local Bay Area real estate agent. And if you like this type of content, I appreciate it if you can subscribe and like my channel and like this video. And your support is going to be my biggest motivations to keep producing more valuable contents that helps all the real estate buyers and sellers and investors. Having said all that, I wish you nothing but the best and also hoping and praying that the market will turn around and the economy will become stronger again. All right, that's it for this one. Take care and talk to you the next time.